The plot of The Impossible is all about despair, finding hope, and then overcoming obstacles confronted by a family affected by a tsunami disaster. In this scene, the mother is pushed below the surface of the wave, looking above. The situation is hopeless. A large wave just consumed the resort. Her family members have become separated. She is drowning, and she sees dead bodies, debris, and lots of water. The camera perspective, situation, and content all portray a strong sense of despair. Until this point in the film, the cadence is normal or even fast. In this scene, the film motion slows, conveying the feeling of slowing down, losing hope, and approaching death. Oliver Stone's Platoon is regarded as one of the most authentic films depicting the Vietnam War. In this scene, you see William Dafoe portraying Sergeant Elias toward the end of the film as Vietnam troops surround him and overtake the soldiers in a violent massacre. After a long battle, he gives up hope. In this case, despair is portrayed by his body position, as if praying for assistance. The scene of despair is further enhanced by the background of soldiers closing in. The camera perspective, in line with Sergeant Elias, allows the viewer to identify with the character. The scene appears to occur in slow motion, with contrasting sounds between gunshots and silence, increasing the sense of despair. This child soldier, as depicted in the movie Blood Diamonds, is preparing to shoot his own father, who has been searching for his son, hoping to recollect him from a militant gang who brainwashes and trains child soldiers. In this image, a stark contrast is presented between soft tears and a steel gun. The look of his eyes is of hopelessness, sorrow, and despair. The situation is grim. The viewer is left with a deep sense of despair and questioning. How can humanity allow this to happen to a child? In the animated film Up, an older man realizes his dreams by connecting with an unlikely child savior. After his wife passes away, the husband reflects on fond memories and unattained goals of visiting Paradise Falls. The long montage portrays a happy marriage and leaves the viewer with a sense of loss and hopelessness. The husband will never achieve their goal of visiting Paradise Falls together. The montage is accompanied by somber music entitled Stuff We Did by Michael Giacchino, enhancing the sense of hopelessness and despair. In this scene from The Professional, a 12-year-old girl, Matilda, seeks refuge at a neighbor's apartment after just witnessing the end of a massacre of her mother, father, and younger brother by corrupt police officers. The camera perspective is at the child's eye level, allowing the movie viewer to identify with her. But her gaze is above the camera, which gives the impression that she is looking up to an adult, literally, and to a higher spirit, figuratively, for help and assistance. In the background is one of the assassins looking onward. Fear and desperation in Matilda's eyes enhance the sense of hopelessness. The scene is also filmed in slow motion, allowing the viewer to absorb the sense of despair. In Fritz Lang's Metropolis, a society is divided between elite and the working class. At the time the movie was made, the Weimar Republic in Germany was thriving, at least from a superficial perspective. During that time, inflation was growing and the working class was being exploited. The political climate set the stage for the film, which is all about despair. Despair of the working class. Black and white film with stark contrast, uniformity among those without distinguishing features, disciplined movements and orientation, repetitive movements, all convey a sense of despair and monotony from which the workers cannot escape. Rhythmic, mechanical sounds throughout the movie further enhance this sense of despair and simply being part of a machine. The Pursuit of Happiness is a story of a salesman who loses everything and is forced to live on the streets. In this scene, you see a father and his son sleeping in a subway bathroom overnight. This represents both the bleakest point of the movie and the turning point where he begins to find hope. Most of the camera angles in this scene are shot from below eye level, imitating the perspective of the child. The camera then pans to this aerial view to illustrate how the two characters relate with one another and are equally affected by this hopeless situation. Each scene and sequence is shot with rapid cadence, painting the picture of disorientation and confusion felt by the father. The sense of despair is increased by alternating sounds of knocking intruders and silence.
Dreams in which I'm dying are the best I've ever had. I find it hard to tell you, I find it hard to take. When people run in circles, it's a very, very mad world. Mad world.
Psycho by Alfred Hitchcock is considered one of the most suspenseful movies of all time. Released in 1960, the story is about a woman who takes money from a bank and leaves with it to start a new life. She ends up at the Bates Motel, run by a man named Norman, a man dominated by his mother. Suspense is created in several ways. Hitchcock would mislead the audience into thinking it is one type of movie and then changing that impression, creating false suspense. He also used camera angles, camera positions, music, and lighting. This shower scene, shown here, uses several techniques to create suspense. Camera angles play a huge part in making viewers believe that we are intruding on her private space. Also, angles make the woman look smaller and vulnerable, and they are also creating feelings of voyeurism. Shrill violin music plays when a shadowy figure comes through the shower curtain, creating terror, and the sounds of stabbing shock the viewers. Silence of the Lambs is a classic thriller film released in 1991. An FBI cadet, Clarice Starling, interviews a killer, Hannibal Lecter, to figure out how to find a serial killer named Buffalo Bill. In the stills shown here, suspense is created by putting the cadet in the dark and having the serial killer use night vision goggles to see her. Viewers are watching through his point of view, so it seems like the viewers are the serial killer, causing them to identify with him. The control and knowledge is with Buffalo Bill, the serial killer, because he has the advantage of being able to see. But Clarice, the FBI cadet, has control and knowledge as well because of her training, her ability to hear in her surroundings, and also being armed. The Sixth Sense, released in 1999, was about a boy, Cole, who communicated with spirits that didn't know they were dead. He speaks to a psychologist, Malcolm, about it, and the movie follows their relationship. The suspense is built in this movie quietly, and it is understated. The camera movements and lighting create a warm and cold moments, and help to show calmness and danger. Camera angles moving into close-ups and shots moving from one to two-person shots creates a feeling of connection between the two main characters. and provide the viewers with a sense of trust that they have in each other. The use of red in this movie, as shown in the still here, provides clues as to the major plot twist. The color red is used just before a scene where the supernatural is present. The use of color goes almost unnoticed throughout the movie. Jurassic Park, released in 1993, was a suspense-filled adventure movie about the engineering of dinosaurs on an island in order to create a theme park. A power outage allows the dinosaurs to break free and terrorize the people on the island. Suspense in this movie is done using lighting, shadows, and quick-moving cameras in dangerous chase scenes. In this still, one of the most memorable scenes of the movie, the young boy looks at the cup in the car, and the vibrations of the T-Rex's steps are seen in the water, the suspense building as the vibrations get stronger and stronger. The audience is anticipating the T-Rex coming, and then he all of a sudden bursts onto the scene. The music is also a big part of the movie. From the triumphant music when they arrive on the island to the panic music during the scene where the velociraptor is looking for the children in the kitchen. And soon after, the T-Rex fights off 2 velociraptors and everyone escapes.
As each of these stories come to pass, the main character is the hero in our story for one main reason. They are determined to overcome despair. They are determined to push past the fear of the unknown and rise above the challenges they may face. The determined character decides that their outcome will be success. It is their cognitive ruling that their goal will come to pass. They are driven to act with purpose until the goal is met. Moving beyond the act of simply doing, they are now unwilling to accept that they could fail. Failure is not an option. Yes, they will still struggle along the way. It will be hard, but they will fight through these obstacles in order to move on to the next one. Each obstacle our hero faces brings them closer to their goal. You can now see that determination in their eyes. And our heroes now have their eye on the prize. They are an unwavering arrow piercing through anything that gets in their way. They may take the road less traveled and forge their own path. Their determination will help them find their way to that path through their struggles. Success is the only option for our hero. Hope is no longer in their vocabulary as it leaves too much room for doubt. As we see our heroes succeed time and time again in these stories, it is not because Hollywood has necessarily chosen to give us the happy ending we crave, whether we're watching a true story or fiction. The stories we choose as a culture often lead us to see that with determination we can do anything, we can overcome obstacles and succeed. All of these different emotions come to life in a movie. We are brought on a journey with these characters, and our emotions are heightened through the use of music and pacing in these scenes. We hope you enjoy the emotional journey we've brought you through here.